take my place in the amber fields, the shiver, the glimmer, the mountains of steel we've piled so high and wide to tranquilize our fear. When will we ever find the grace to give our fellow man the space to speak his mind face to face to any one of us? And why does war have to be such a cost to be free when it tears apart our families? I know we'd have everything we need if we lived in peace. When we speak with callous tongues in the hallowed halls of the citizens who bear their pain like a loaded gun, it's aimed at us. Our words betray unholy shame, mocking his holy name, the arrogance of our righteous claim that we know the truth. Why does war have to be at such a cost to be free when it tears apart our families? I know we'd have everything we need if we lived in peace. So we watch the soldiers say goodbye, we hide our hearts and wonder why. There's nothing we can do but pray peace brings them home. So I'll take my place in the amber fields, a shiver at the mountains of steel we've piled so high to ease our fear. Please, Lord, help me find the grace to give my fellow man the space to speak his heart face to face with me. And maybe war won't have to be, and maybe we'll be free to love and raise our families. I know we'd have everything we need if we lived in peace. If we lived in peace. Let us live in
Thank you, Jim, for that song of peace. Their very passionate, moving, original song of peace, which lifted me up off my chair. What cadence. We have a very moving show today. Thanks for leading us off. Welcome to the Poetry of Immigrants show. We are a nation of immigrants. We are proud of those immigrants, our ancestors too. And we're welcoming now to refugees and migrants. And songs like this bring us back to the 60s. It's not the 60s show because we'll be including other poets, but the spirit is there. If you couldn't see from sandals and bare feet, obviously it's the 60s. So, far left, Jim Paradis, local musician, original songwriter, wonderful voice. And he does lots of gigs up and down the shoreline. He's got CDs out. Wow, second time he's here. The synchronicity is working. Gemma Mathewson is back co-producing, and she chose a few anti-war poems today, I think.
That's correct.
That's correct. And a good friend of mine, Sue Reggett, Susan Gale Reggett, retired high school teacher from Madison, Wisconsin, is here to take part. Came all the way partially just for that, which is pretty special. And I'm Frank Crowley. Happy to be with you again. I think it's our 9th show. So, after a song like that, I think we're ready. We're softened up. Who has a poem that opens up the theme of peace, which is not the absence of war just, but an activity, a movement, a state of mind, a protest, a rebellion, a powerful movement to help peace grow in our culture? I mean, after our culture has been so carpet bombed recently with other messages, let's get back to peace. When are we, Jim, going to find the grace, as your song says, to give our brother some space? Maybe we have to invoke our higher power, really, as you did in your song. God, give us the grace to find the space. And after that prayer and poetry, which go together with music and painting and peace signs, we're ready to go. Let's jump on the sailboat
All right.
with the migrants.
Frank, you didn't introduce the fly. The fly will be a guest. Here.
Oh, let me give this fly a name. I'm going to name him Henry the Fly, whom Christine said has been here for a week and a half, chasing everyone around. There's a message here, and thank you, Jim, for not smashing him.
How'd you know that's what I wanted?
I know, he's bugging you. Is he landing on your toes or crawling
He's
into
fine.
the guitar?
He's fine.
Henry the Fly.
Henry the fly.
Yeah. Do we have a poem about flies?
Not one
No.
about flies, but there's one that mentions a cockroach.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent.
And this is kind of a generic look at poverties, not necessarily war, but certainly war is a poverty.
Yeah.
It's by Adrian Rich, and it's called The Ballad of the Poverties. There's the poverty of the cockroach kingdom and the rusted toilet bowl, the poverty of to steal food for the first time, the poverty of to mouth a penis for a paycheck, the poverty of sweet charity, ladling soup for the poor who must always be there for that. There's poverty of theory, poverty of swollen belly shamed, poverty of the diploma or ballot that goes nowhere. Princes of predation, let me tell you, there are poverties and there are poverties. There's the poverty of cheap luggage bursted open at immigration, poverty of the turned head, averted eye, the poverty of bored sex, of tormented sex, the poverty of the bounced check, poverty of the dumpster dive, the poverty of the pawned horn, of the smashed reading glasses, the poverty pushing the sheeted gurney, the poverty cleaning up the puke, the poverty of the pavement artist, the poverty passed out on the pavement. Princes of finance, you who have not lain there, there are poverties and there are poverties. There is the poverty of hand to mouth and door to door, and the poverty of stories patched up to sell there. There's the poverty of the child thumbing to the interstate, and the poverty of the bride enlisting for war. There is the poverty of stones fisted in pocket, and the poverty of the village bulldozed to rubble. There's the poverty of coming home, not as you left it, and the poverty of how would you ever end it. Princes of weaponry who have never ever tasted war, there are poverties and there are poverties. There's the poverty of wages wired for the funeral you can't get to, the poverty of bodies lying unburied. There's the poverty of labor offered silently on the curb, the poverty of the no contact prison visit. There's the poverty of yard sale scrapings spread and rejected, the poverty of eviction, wedding bed out on the street. Princes, let me tell you, who will never learn through words, there are poverties and there are poverties. You who travel by private jet, like a housefly buzzing with the other flies of plundered poverties, princes and couriers who will never learn through words, here's a mirror you can look into. Take it. It's yours.
Thank you, Sue. What a great choice. And Adrienne Rich has got a wonderful voice.
Yes.
Thanks for reading it that well. It's just so clear.
It was an excellent
Thank you.
reading.
Thank you.
And everything in it, or many things in it, click right into today's news cycle. The
Yes.
homes we can't go back to, and the ballads that, are useless, and it's very timely.
Yes.
There's Henry.
Hello, Henry.
And the housefly is mentioned in this poem.
It is.
You have got to be kidding me. Welcome to the world of magic, right? We were talking about that earlier. What imagery did that bring up for you personally, John?
Well, as I said, the useless ballad,
The ballads.
and the homes you can't return to.
Yeah.
It also brought to me the people waiting for food at a food bank,
Yeah.
and how people have to get that food back to where they live sometimes is, a surprise in itself.
It is.
They're not just getting back into their cars and driving home with it.
Right.
So,
The hassles and the sort of travesties of justice. In a way.
right. And how much can you carry and how much do you need? You can
How
only
much do
take what you can
need?
carry.
Yeah.
And that, that becomes a reality in people's day-to-day lives sometimes.
What came up for me was Jean-Michel Basquiat, Basket of Cats, if you have trouble saying that last name. Basquiat. Our Haitian painter who just, of course he died at 26, but just had one of his paintings that sold for $110 million.
Oh.
But when he came from Brooklyn to live alone and become an artist on Manhattan streets, he was eating out of dumpsters. So, only in America can you have that kind of disparity, which really is troubling. And that's a symbol or an image of. How does that strike you in song? Do you?
Well, let me just go a different way for just a second.
Yeah.
When I was a much younger man, then I worked with a guy that had seen one of his inspirations for doing the good work that he was doing was Mother Teresa. He had seen her, and somebody asked her the question exactly about the riches in America. How do you justify the riches when there is a poor person on dumpster diving on the sidewalk? And her comment was, that would be judging. But in this guy, my friend's head, he heard the words someone else's poverty. So what he was saying that he got from what she was saying is, there's the poverty we all know as poverty, the guy dumpster diving, and then there's the poverty of the really rich guy that is, his poverty is not being able to let go of that richness to share it with others.
The moral
that's where we're-
bankruptcy.
Moral bankruptcy. Yeah.
And
Wow.
harder
Excellent.
to get through a needle's eye.
Yeah. All that.
All that. Thanks for really bringing that
Yeah.
into focus that way, because that kind of grounds it. Wow. The spiritual poverty, I think, is a lot of what is driving Rich's poem.
Yeah.
How wonderful to hear people stand up. Have you got a poem that?
Yes, I do. I started because I'm centering my focus on anti-war poems, anti-Vietnam War poems from the 60s. I thought I would go to my source, the popular music of the 60s, particularly because it was the conscience of the era and it reached so many voices.
Like
and there
the
were
conscience of a nation.
Right.
Really. And it was.
So the first one I'm going to do is by Joni Mitchell, and it was from her second album, Clouds, 1968 or 9. And the song is called The Fiddle and the Drum, and its subtitle is A Perfect Circle. And I don't know exactly what that means. I tried to find out, but I do remember that when she performed it, she rotated in 360 degrees. Joni Mitchell is from, she is an immigrant to the United States. She still lives she has a home here and she has a home still in Canada, but she's also Native American, so in a deep sense, she's a native.
Oh, yeah.
So she's a native, but she's an immigrant. She's a complicated person. But this is her poem, A Fiddle and the Drum. And she does it a cappella, which I wish I could do, but I can't. And so once again, my dear Johnny, my dear friend, and so once again, you are fighting us all. And when I ask you why, you raise your sticks and cry, and I fall. Oh, my friend, how did you come to trade the fiddle for the drum? You say, I have turned like the enemies you've earned, but I can remember all the good things you are. And so I ask you, please, can you help to find the peace and the star? Oh, my friend, what time is this to trade the handshake for the fist? And so, once again, oh America, my friend, and so once again, you are fighting us all. And when we ask you why, you raise your sticks and cry and we fall. Oh, my friend, how did you come to trade the fiddle for the drum? You say we have turned like the enemies you've earned, but we can remember all the good things you are. And so we ask you, please, can we help you find the peace and the star? Oh, my friend, we have all come to fear the beating of your drum.
I heard some of that cadence in Jim's song when he switched stanza into boom, boom, boom. Yeah, and how the boys 100 years ago in World War I, Johnny went marching off to war into the middle of the slaughter. And to see that worldwide 100 years later, and to look back to see Vietnam, which came up for us, and now currently Afghanistan. But what does the circle bring up for you in terms of a powerful symbol? I'll tell you what had happened to me when I was 3 weeks ago looking at TV, and there was really a wonderful lady speaking in Washington for the Women's March. She said, there is no patriarchy. There is no gender. There is no religion. End of John Lennon's song, and no religion too. There is no division. And of course the poets would take that and run with it. What if we had no war? The circle really takes away the power of the triangle or the pyramid, which is a patriarchal kind of symbol in society. And the circle from the Native Americans bring us back to the fullness of life and the full circle of life. And I love the way she said it. No gender, no religion, no patriarchy, nobody trying to control human reproduction, nobody, So it's a kind of what if premise. And that's what the poets and the dreamers.
Right.
Keep
And in
bringing
this
up-
poem, she looks without and then she looks within for the solution. We're going to help you find the star. First she says, this is your problem, and then she comes around and talks about it and talks about it. And then she takes a responsibility for it, that we all have to be included. And that's the circle. It's total inclusion. It's the, the original circle is your mother's arms around you.
Yeah, I like that.
Not only does she or herself or her generation or the protesters of the 60s have to embrace and join the circle of healing and peace, but the people who are beating the drum also have to come from their half, from their side, and find the circle.
Right.
The grace to find the space.
There you go.
Wow.
Well, that sounds like something really poetic.
It doesn't. I wonder who wrote that.
I don't know. I'd like to shake his hand.
You have a short poem you can read that I asked you to do?
I do have that right here.
Thank you.
I hope I can do it justice.
Oh, listen.
Because as I read it through a few times, I realized, wow. The Hat of Childhood by Frank Crowley.
Thanks.
I wore a hat from Timbuktu with holes, loose threads, crappy green flaps. It carried me through the flu, measles, pox, collapsed. In snow, soggy in rain, shrunk in the warm sun to fit my head again. Wore it to bed, at wakes, football games, not on early dates, on the job, at friendlies weekends, and yet, I slowly grew into another one, a turtle shell. Straps metallic green, echoing bloody yells. Now my grandson wears that same hat of childhood, flappy, crappy, snot green with holes and history, and string torn at the top, fading from 1,000 washes. I love to watch him strut and shout commands in it. Camp it up, pretend to be a cop, a pope, a lout. A talking cabbage head fireman screaming Dairy Queen as he grows through the roles of vampire, priest, poet like me. Changing hats into fluid apparitions of desires to be anything but a small, defenseless tyke in Grandpa's hat. I hope he never wears the metal one with holes.
Thanks, Jim.
Me too.
Well done.
I hope that too. That's beautiful, Frank.
He's 20 now. He lasted about 6 months. He was too independent a thinker for the National Guard.
Oh, that's a good failure.
That's a good thing. Nathan, you're good. I think we can go back to E.E. Cummings. You ever heard of E.E. Cummings? This guy. He just broke all the conventions, 30s, 40s. I'm going to read a little intro. Who was this guy? You know the one. Anyone lived in a anyhow town, he transposed parts of speech and parts of the sentence so that he played with words in a way that you tried to make sense of it, and sometimes you could. No capitals on the words. E. Cummings may be the most remembered for his gleeful love of poems with their sensuous use of language and his visual inventiveness and modernist style. He was a highly innovative writer and painter who borrowed concepts from the world of modernist painting and sculpture to influence his poems. Through his unconventional use of syntax, punctuation, capitalization, and typography, he helped the poetry world think of words and poems as a visual object and the white page as a canvas. The poet critic Randall Jarrell wrote of Cummings, quote, "No one else has ever made avant-garde experimental poems so attractive to the general and the special reader. Indeed, Cummings combines playful difficulty and willful accessibility in ways that few other 20th century poets have." He's kind of a mentor to me, enabled me to write that poem that Jim read without punctuation or capitalization, and yet you read it brilliantly.
Yes. Yes, you did.
Because you were breathing into it and with passion.
And because it was a brilliant poem.
Yeah,
Thank
there you go.
Yes.
Honorable mention with the Altrusa Ladies International Group, who have a senior citizen poetry contest in April every year. So if you're over 55 and you want to submit a poem to Altrusa, go for it. We're going to take a 3-minute break. So we're going to do a little breathing and drink a little water.
Okay.
And we'll come back with another poem from Sue.
Okay.
And then go round robin again. Oh, that circle. Oh my God. She was talking about what if the world were this blue-green ball and we're all part of one family traveling through the universe? We are. So, grab a beer, cook the potatoes, and don't pull out the pizza yet. We'll be back. Thanks.
With newspapers and media outlets merging all over the country, communities are losing their local voice.
There's so much going on in the community that I think doesn't really, there's a lot of folks who are unaware of it. And I think things like this can bring it out into the community and in that way kind of bring the community together.
Information and to our residents is the key to good governance. And with the national media and local media not often covering us, this is an excellent opportunity for us constantly to communicate with our constituents and also to have them communicate with us.
The best outcomes will be achieved through a community-based organization that grows its operation and scale by means of locally produced programming.
All of our content is volunteer produced, so we do shows from talk shows to music shows, working with high schools.
VSC TV is committed to ensuring that the investment made to secure these powerful tools will pay great dividends in the community for many, many years.
You're doing great. We're gonna try this again, okay?
Okay.
Wheels, pedals, handlebar, brakes. Sit up straight, keep your weight in the center, keep your eyes on the road, hands on the grips, button the seat. If we feel ourselves falling, what do?
Just keep
pedaling. Good girl. Now remember, it's all about balance and steering. Steer with your hands, steer with your body. Steer into the corners and you stay out of trouble. And the bell's your buddy, so go ahead and ding that. All right, you ready? Here we go. Pedal, honey, pedal. There you go, you're a bike rider.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Every day, the people in our community rally in support of United Way as we strive together to make a big impact to change lives in Middlesex County. From our main streets to our institutions, from our neighborhoods to our town halls and our classrooms, we're working with our partners to create a stronger community. It's an inspiring effort and we invite you to join us. Volunteer, donate, live united.
I have a poem for you. Sue will be next. Sorry to interject, but I don't want to forget this one. A poem made of water. Ibitsam Barakat, Palestinian American. The biology teacher said that people, all people, are made mostly of water. And I understand that all of us, like water, have been through so much. Fell from the sky, spent nights in the middle of a dark ocean, cleaned dirt out of clothes and dishes of all kinds. Like water, we had to freeze in winters and simmer under covers and be put in cubes that are hit countless times on kitchen counters. And I understood why, when someone's tears fall, I feel. I'm glad to add this one in. Sue?
Yes. This is kind of timely regarding the PBS special, Ken Burns' Vietnam retrospective, I guess, and inquiry. And it's a poem by Denise Levertov, who actually is from England. She now lives in the United States. And it is in question and answer format. And it's called What Were They Like?
Oh, great. She was big in the 70s.
Yes.
I remember her
Wow.
from graduate school
Oh.
and how popular she had become. Like, whoosh.
Well, this is really thought-provoking because it's from the, she's questioning, she's just posing a question, what were people like, human beings who happen to be Vietnamese? Question 1, questions and answers, is actually the poem is called, What Were They Like? And questions and answers. Number 1, did the people of Vietnam use lanterns of stone? 2, did they hold ceremonies to reverence the openings of buds? 3, were they inclined to rippling laughter? 4, did they use bone and ivory, jade and silver for ornament? 5, had they an epic poem? 6, did they distinguish between speech and singing? Number 1, sir, their light hearts turned to stone. It is not remembered whether in gardens stone lanterns illumined peasant ways. Number 2, perhaps they gathered once to delight in blossom, but after the children were killed, there were no more buds. 3, sir, laughter is bitter to the burned mouth. 4, a dream ago perhaps, ornament is for joy. All the bones were charred. 5, it is not remembered. Remember, most were peasants. Their life was in rice and bamboo. When peaceful clouds were reflected in the paddies and the water buffalo stepped surely among the terraces, maybe fathers told their sons old tales. When bombs smashed the mirrors, there was time only to scream. 6, there is an echo yet, it is said, of their speech which was like a song. It is reported their singing resembled the flight of moths in moonlight. Who can say? It is silent now.
Wow, the singing resembled the flight of moths in moonlight. Oh, what a tender image that is.
Tender and brutal.
Yeah.
Everything combined. Yeah.
Everything combined.
Yeah.
How'd you find that?
This was from, I didn't bring the book. It's called Poems of Protest, Old and New. And
Good.
when I was in college, I think I started in '68. Of course, I had some wonderful history professors, and they had teach-ins, and I took a creative writing class, and I think that was one of the books on the list, and it just, when you mentioned the show, it just came back.
49 years later.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. So what did you think of Ken Burns' show on the
Well, I
Vietnam
haven't
War?
seen all of it, but it is, a flashback of sadness, just, and of listening to different perspectives and realizing, you know, how we can get caught up in lies
Yeah.
and not get out of them.
Uh-huh.
But I'm not sure if that's fair since I haven't seen them all, but that's what struck me.
So, can we have an antidote? Can we have the grace that maybe comes from a song like John Lennon's Imagine? Yeah. I think that helps to go
Okay.
from, yeah, doesn't it?
Yes.
You know, when I was kind of going through this a little bit before you asked me to sing, as you asked me to sing it, I was thinking, how many of us would live up to the challenge of his final verse in here? How many of us would give up all our possessions, including our homes, our cars, our cell phones, our money, in order to live alike everyone else? I think all of us have some sense of being a little, you know, we have proprietary kind of thoughts. But it was just a challenge to, at first I said, oh, nobody will answer that. And I said, well, geez, neither would I, probably. It would, unless I was sure everybody else was going to do it, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, very human.
Yeah, well, I
Yes.
think, you know, Imagine, it's called Imagine.
It's called Imagine.
It's
for
called
a
Imagine.
reason, but I think you can't get any closer to it if you can't imagine.
Well, very good. Yeah. Yeah. So if we imagine it, maybe we'll be a little nicer.
And that's what we have the musicians and the poets and the painters for, to help us imagine a better world, a world of a circle where we're all one.
Well, you all know this song.
We all know this song.
If you can get the words right, God bless you. Sing along.
Thank you. That's very generous.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us, only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries.
It is hard to do.
Nothing to kill or die for. No religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. And I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. Imagine no possessions. Wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. And I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one.
Child. That was worthy of
great
John
song.
He was
Lennon.
smiling down at me.
Yeah.
Oh,
Definitely.
Yeah, a great song.
And can I plug something from Wisconsin?
You bet.
Just last week, I was at the 100th anniversary of the Wisconsin Public Radio, and quite an accomplishment. And the theme was the power of story, power of music, story, poetry, whatever. And the way they ended was with Imagine.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yes.
Oh, that's powerful.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've got that awesome, I don't know what you call it, their mosaic on the sidewalk in Central Park, in Strawberry Fields, that says Imagine in it.
Oh.
Which I only saw
I've
for the
never
first
seen
time
it.
a few years ago. I'd only
Okay.
been to Central Park for the first time in my life, just a few years ago. But of course, being in Central Park, I had to go there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's just,
Yeah.
just
Thank
gorgeous.
you. I had no idea.
Yeah, go.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Not now. Wait till we're done.
It's
But
near
go.
the Dakota. It's just
It's very
right
near
across
the Dakota from where he was shot.
Oh, it is?
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, wow. Thanks.
It's a little area, they call it Strawberry Fields. Nice colors, nice plants, nice theme, some plaques and things, yeah.
Wow, we shoot our dreamers. Wow. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
We shoot our dreamers.
And
That
isn't
will be
that
the name of the next
Immigrants?
song that I
The
do.
Dreamers?
Oh, yeah.
We shoot our dreamers.
Yeah.
I was hoping you'd do a little song for the Hat of Childhood, but, you know,
There's no punctuation, I
there's
can't.
no punctuation. Yeah. Who else?
Well,
Gemma?
I'm going to take us in a much darker direction.
Good. We're ready.
But it's earlier than that song was written in 1970, was it? Close. This was written in 1963 by our Nobel laureate, Bob Dylan.
Oh.
From the
Yes.
his second album, the Freewheelin' album, it gave us Blowing in the Wind,
Oh.
which everyone knows that, and Don't Think Twice, It's All Right. But this is an angrier poem, and although anger in itself never solves anything,
Yeah.
I'm sure Rosa Parks did not step to the front of the bus from a place of, serenity.
Exactly.
So I think if you use anger as a Geiger counter to where, what you should be doing, where you are now, and where your energy should be flowing, it's not a bad thing to experience.
Exactly.
But
Let's
anyway,
imagine a solution. I mean,
this
if
is-
we don't imagine a solution.
Right. But this is his song.
Good.
Masters of war. Come, you masters of war, you that build all the guns, you that build the death planes, you that build all the bombs, you that hide behind walls, you that hide behind desks. I just want you to know I can see through your masks. You that never done nothing but built to destroy. You play with my world like it's your little toy. You put a gun in my hand and you hide from my eyes, and you turn and run farther when the fast bullets fly. Like Judas of old, you lie and deceive. A world war can be won, you want me to believe. But I see through your eyes, and I see through your brain, and I see through the water that runs down my drain. You fasten all the triggers for the others to fire, then you sit back and watch when the death counts get higher, and you hide in your mansion as young people's blood flows out of our bodies and is buried in the mud. You've thrown the worst fear that can ever be hurled, fear to bring children into the world. For threatening my baby unborn and unnamed, you ain't worth the blood that runs in your veins. How much do I know to talk out of turn? You might say that I'm young, you might say I'm unlearned, but there's one thing I know, though I'm younger than you, that even Jesus would never forgive what you do. Let me ask you one question. Is your money that good? Will it buy you forgiveness? Do you think that it could? I think you will find when your death takes a toll, all the money you make will never buy back your soul. And I hope that you die and your death will come soon. I will follow your casket in the pale afternoon, and I'll watch while you're lowered down to your deathbed, and I will stand over your grave till I'm sure that you're dead.
Ooh.
So not a pretty poem, but that's what he was feeling. And, you know, when you think about the Ken Burns and the Vietnam War and people's strong feelings about it, he was a voice that people came to again and again.
And he put it into a song,
Yeah.
which is the way to share it. And what a wonderful outcome. He gets the Nobel Prize for literature. Yeah, it's just so earth-shaking when you think about it in terms of the arts and the crossovers. So let's stay in a dark place for a minute. Do you have a poem that you could read with me, Sue?
Sure. I think you wrote it.
I wrote it. I was so taken with 9/11. I used to stand on the green on the anniversary in Guilford and stand with a little candle because that was my statement, my way to. This is two voices, a poem in two voices. My own voice as a sleepy old guy waking up in the middle of the night. And it's partly a dream, but also being confronted by Truth, who was knocking at my door, which is an allusion to Gwendolyn Brooks, when I think the Bean Eaters or one of her other poems. What a wonderful poet. She says, Truth is standing at my front door. What do I do? What do I do? Truth is no whore. 9/11. Truth is no whore, although she often gives me a standing ovulation. It is 3 a.m. She is knocking right now on the door of my dreams with her remarkable sense of metaphor. I was learning how to make rice and beans again with Gwendolyn Brooks in white gloves and gown, James Baldwin in a black sequined stovepipe hat. I get up, float to the door, invite her in for some lovemaking, put on the decaf coffee pot. She looks me in the eye, laser-like.
I need a good man to believe in me, as a husband as a wife, as two gold swans on one great pond in September's pure light. I am not he, I answer, believe me. Even though you are my best mentor, mistress, muse, I do not have your humility, honor, hope, your defense against Gaddafi's crooks, cooks, dictators, dupes, corruption, contagion, those who failed to connect the dots between the FBI and the CIA. I am a weak, soft spider's voice in the www web. It's true, she answers. I cannot be bought, cajoled, stored for some future brave new generation to face, like your corruptible race. I cannot be arrested like Assange, covered up like Khodorkovsky, suppressed like Osip Mandelstam, twisted by dictators, demagogues demanding adulation. Mission accomplished. I am not amused by those who repeat history every 30 seconds, those who try and fail to dishonor me, have premature Iraculation. My armies of infinite facts are legion like rogue asteroids roaming the universe, blasting cant, bombast, received religion, rancid lies. Remember, patience is the highest praise.
As I reach for her nurturing embrace as a child for his mother, I wake. Ah, it's only Abby's sweet whiskered face. Another dream, but I think the only thing that matters in life, as in art, is she, Truth, her beauty, and that this time, the fire on the edge of glory. Thanks, Sue.
You're welcome, thank you.
That was actually my part, and I goofed it up.
Sorry.
No. Sorry. I'm not speaking for Truth. Yeah, she has her own speech. Yeah. What have you got that's dark?
You want more dark?
Any darker than Masters of War?
Yeah.
Do you want me to read yours, or should I read another one first?
Another
or?
one
Okay.
from you.
Okay, this is, again, historically from the 60s. It was the only song that was performed twice at Woodstock, once by Crosby, Stills, Nash, and once by Jefferson Airplane. It was written by members of both, Crosby, Stills, and Jim Keltner from Jefferson Airplane, the third one was. And they were, the song was written when they were all sailing on Crosby's ship. He had a ship out of Fort Lauderdale. It was a little wooden boat.
The Mayan.
The Mayan, yes, all right.
80-something feet of unbelievable beauty.
I'm setting the scene here. So what they were talking about was that in a post-apocalyptic world, that they would have a better chance in a wooden 80-foot ship because I guess something to do with metal ships or holding more radiation. I don't even know if that's true. I mean, for the amount of tonnage that that nuclear weapons have now, I think it's a moot point.
Yeah.
But this was their fantasy, that they would sail away in this ship and what would happen. So it's called Wooden Ships. And I will read the part that they sang, but it has a prelude that isn't in either of their performances. The prelude was just written earlier.
Okay.
It was written as part of it, but was not sung. Wooden Ships. Black sails knifing through the pitch-blend night, away from the radioactive landmass madness, from the silver-suited people searching out uncontaminated food and shelter on the shores, no glowing metal on our ship of wood, only free, happy, crazy people naked in the universe. That's the prelude. If you smile at me, I will understand, because that is something everybody everywhere does in the same language. I can see by your coat, my friend, you are from the other side. There is just one thing I've got to know. Can you tell me, please, who won? Say, can I have some of your purple berries? Yes, I have been eating them for 6 or 7 weeks now. Haven't got sick once. Probably keep us both alive. Wooden ships on the water, very free and easy. Easy. You know, the way it's supposed to be. Silver people on the shoreline, let us be. Talking about very free and easy. Horror grips us as we watch you die. All we can do is echo your anguished cries, stare as all human feelings die. We are leaving, you don't need us. Go, take your sister then by the hand. Lead her away from this foreign land, far away where we might laugh again. We are leaving, you don't need us, and it's a fair wind blowing warm, out of the south, over my shoulder. Guess I'll set a course and go.
Wow. I'm going to jump ship.
Really?
Fabulous song. Fabulous. Thank
That is fabulous. We have 2 minutes. Some last thoughts before we end with a song from Jim, I hope.
What song?
Whatever you want.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Anything of your own that comes to mind would be sweet. Oh, yeah. Sue, thank you for coming all the way.
My pleasure.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Thank you for the invitation.
You're a great reader. Thanks to Christine, who's doing sound check, and Kathy, my dear friend, who's given us some cards. Getting down to 1 minute. Any lingering thoughts about numbers and someone who wrote a poem called 17? And you did too! Wow, I want to hear your 17 poem again.
Okay, I will someday.
I would love it.
Okay.
Yeah. Numbers. thanks again, Gemma.
Thank you very much.
You anchor us in such a deep way.
Thank you very much for coming today. That was
my
wonderful.
pleasure. Thank
I love
you.
your selections
Wow.
and your selection.
Yes.
Thanks to our director, Chris Morgan, who's, wow, he's the best guy. We got 4 or 5 cameras out here, all automated, I think.
And thank you to you to let people in Westbrook or wherever go on a journey, wherever it takes them, and or brings back memories of life and
memories.
suffering and what
the,
happens.
The full experience of a rich life. Thanks, Sue, because this show will be on Monday night at 8 o'clock, our usual slot. So anyone watching at home, keep turning the channel to 19 every Monday night in the Ninetown area, Valley Shore Community TV, which is our host and sponsor, and we couldn't be more grateful with this kind of world-class studio and technology and willing volunteers. It's a joy to do this. Why not?
Absolutely.
What have you got for us, Jim?
You can't convince me of freedom when you're carrying a gun. You can't tell me I'm safe and constantly warn me to run. If bullets and bombs are the only way they listen to what you profess, well, that's the end of love, I guess. If what I believe disappoints you, if different has to mean wrong, do you really need to convince me? Must I really play along? If you can't let me live my truth, if it's got to be what you profess, well, that's the end of